Good afternoon, and welcome to the 2012 website University Edition. My name is Greg Wolf. I'm the Professional Development Manager for IAVM. I want to thank all of you students and professors and professionals for tuning in today. It's my pleasure now to turn it over to Eric Waldman. Eric, take it away.
Well, thank you very much, Greg. Greetings to everybody from the Georgia Dome and here in chilly Atlanta, Georgia today. We've got a room full of people today from all over the universities here in the Atlanta area. And today we're going to be talking about how to break into the sports and entertainment industry. This year's Stadiums Committee felt that it was important for us to reach out to those of you that are in school and that are getting ready to jump into the professional industry, and for us to give you a few pointers and give you the ability to ask some questions of us to help us help you break into the industry. There's me. I do want to say a special thanks to all of our committee members listed there. I won't read all the names, but I do especially want to thank Mr. Greg Wolf of IAVM. He's done a tremendous job helping keep us organized and helping us bring this presentation to you today. Also want to say a special thanks to our host sites here at the Georgia Dome. Up in New York, it's the Billie Jean King National Tennis Center, Cowboy Stadium out in Dallas, Texas, TCF Bank Stadium, and the University of Minnesota. Thank you all for our host sites. Today's outline of the presentation will be setting yourself apart from other students when searching for an internship. You'll hear how a lot of the schools now are having these sports management programs, and basically what you can do to set yourself apart from them when entering into looking for an internship. Part 2 will be I've secured an internship, what is expected of me? And then Part 3, once I've earned my full-time position, my first full-time position, what are some of the things that I can do to become successful? Now I'd like to turn it over to IAVM's President and Chief Executive Officer, Ms. Vicki Howerton, to give us a few words. Vicki.
Great. Thank you very much, Eric. And I'd like to echo your thoughts first, thanking you for putting this together. It looks to be an excellent webinar, as well as our chair of the Stadiums Committee, where this is coming out of, John Drum with the University of Phoenix Stadium, and the rest of the Stadiums Committee. Thank you all for your efforts. I just wanted to take a moment to welcome you all to this webinar. Obviously, you've realized this is just a fascinating and interesting industry to be part of, and you're just at the beginning of your journey, or perhaps some of you are coming or finding new skills to go in a different direction. I would like to say that from my perspective as an association management professional of about 20 years, one of the very best things that you can do to grow your career and make those contacts is to get involved with an organization like IAVM. I have seen the magic happen many, many times, having a student or a young professional talk to someone perhaps as senior as the general manager of Meadowlands or some of our major venues, or one in their own area that they're looking to grow in. And those are really the connections that matter, the connections that can really help you build a network that you can reach out and find answers to your questions or get a job and really grow in industry. So I know at the end of this call there will be a number of items that will be shared with you about how you can get involved, whether it's in committees where you have opportunities to really learn from the leaders of today, or at education events such as this one where you can build your knowledge. So I just welcome you all to this webinar and to IAVM, and if there's anything we can do for you, please don't hesitate to give us a call. And with that, I will turn it back over to Eric.
Thank you very much, Vicki. Before we get started in the presentation today, for all of you that are at home or in the classroom setting, we will be taking some question and answers at the end of all the presentations. But in order to do so, we're going to ask that you type in your questions at the bottom corner of the GoToMeeting app. You will see an area where it says questions. Go ahead and type your question in there, and when you do so, make sure you identify your name, where you're from, and what school that you're with. And what we'll do is we'll stack the questions, and at the very end, Greg will go ahead and read those questions and have some of our facility managers go ahead and answer them for you. At this time, I'd like to go ahead and introduce Travis Brody, who is our first presenter. Travis?
Just to introduce myself, my name is Travis Brody, and I'm the Vice President of Business Development at Sports One Marketing. Thanks for tuning in today. I'm excited to share my story with you guys, and hopefully you can take a few things away from this that will help you reach your goals in the sports and entertainment industry. Just a little bit about Sports One Marketing. We're a Warren Moon enterprise. For those of you who don't know who Warren Moon is, he was the first African-American quarterback inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Warren is our president and founder, and our CEO is David Meltzer, who was formerly the CEO of Lee Steinberg Sports and Entertainment. So our objective as a company, to put it in its most simple form, is to maximize our clients' value by creating unique opportunities for visibility and exposure. And as VP of Business Development, my responsibilities include anywhere from corporate partnerships to event planning, corporate sponsorships, product placement, new business development, and so on. But rather than talk to you about what I do now, I'm going to focus a little more on the process of how I came to my current position at Sports One. I graduated from Occidental College in December of 2011 and started with Sports One immediately after that. However, before I finished my degree, I left Occidental to play football in Europe for 3 seasons. So, that's basically where my story starts in the sports and entertainment industry as an athlete. In 2008, at age 23, I went to play for a team called the Brussels Bulls in Brussels, Belgium. I played there from 2008 to 2010, and when I first arrived, the team had just come off its first season, in which they had not won a single game, so they were winless coming in. My first season there, we won 1 game. We won 6 the following year, and I believe 5 in my last year there. But it was just an excellent opportunity, to continue, doing something that I loved. Had an extremely great experience playing. For those of you who haven't had an opportunity to live or travel in Europe, I would highly recommend it. It's just a great opportunity to travel and really understand other cultures, and it was just a phenomenal experience. So while I was there, I really sought to maximize my time as not only as an athlete but also as a coach. So the team really focused on getting the most out of me that they could, which was, in their minds, coaching. So in addition to playing on the senior team, I was also quarterbacks and a receiver coach on the junior team. We won the 2009 Belgian Championship, as you can see there in the bottom right-hand corner. Just a great opportunity for me to kind of expand my coaching skills. In addition to that, I also coached basketball for an international school in Brussels. We went 24-1 in my season there as a JV head basketball coach. We lost 1 game by 1 point all season. Wound up winning the European title that year. But just really helped me kind of hone my skills, build up my resume a little bit with regards to really working in the sports industry, and it was just an excellent experience. In addition, I helped coach at various clinics, football clinics for the team who was trying to kind of boost the awareness of American football in Belgium. Just a wonderful, wonderful time. So after playing in Belgium, I had really focused on going back to school and finishing up my final 3 semesters of college. When I went back, I was really very focused on establishing myself and really building my resume to ultimately get into the sports industry. I wasn't entirely sure what I wanted to do. I felt, I was kind of leaning more towards ultimately working for maybe a team, either in football or baseball. But really, I wanted to keep my options open as much as possible. Now, the thing about Occidental College, it's a wonderful school. Had an amazing experience there. Very small liberal arts college, about 2,000 students. I know a lot of you guys probably are from much larger universities with great alumni bases and just an extensive network. The thing about Occidental, obviously, with being a smaller school, we didn't have that type of intense network. However, there was a certain thing about being a part of a small school is that there's a certain novelty about it. And so when you do connect with people that are alums of Occidental College, it's kind of a unique thing, and you feel a little bit more inclined to help each other out. So when I went back to school, I focused on a couple things. First of all, I immediately went to my former football coach, asked him if I could help out in the recruiting office. So I did that for all 3 semesters that I was there. In addition to that, I joined a brand new club called the Occidental Sports Business and Law Club, which really kind of was a big part of my development, not only in terms of my understanding and growth in the sports industry, but also just in terms of leadership and so on. So when I joined the Occidental Sports Business and Law Club, it was just basically 8 guys that sat around and talked about sports. There wasn't really much definition to it. My role in the group was pretty minimal, but it was it had tons of potential. And so not long after the group started, I was elected president of the group. And we went from, in a period of about 8 months, we went from 8 members to 93. And I really focused on changing the entire perspective of the group, which is rather than being an on-campus club, I wanted to turn it into a multifaceted, broad-reaching student alumni organization. So we did various things, such as we took a tour of AEG. We brought in various speakers. We held different seminars in which we talked about anything from the path of general managers in the sports industry to anywhere from social media to anything along those lines. And the objective was not only to increase my own understanding, but really to help the organization learn as much as possible, keep them engaged, and ultimately really focus on bringing in alumni into the network, because that was our biggest resource. As a college student, your resources in some ways are limited, but the great thing that you have at your disposal is the access to alumni, and I really wanted to take advantage of that. So as you see there, bottom left-hand corner, we took a tour of the LA Live area, which is about 15 minutes from Occidental. We toured Staples Center, Nokia Theater. It was a pretty cool experience. We wound up taking it with one of the vice presidents with AEG. Top right is, we did a seminar with Patrick Guthrie, who actually wrote, I believe, Rugby for Dummies. He's one of the kind of foremost experts on rugby and has done several color commentary and TV broadcasts and so on. And in the bottom right-hand corner is our CEO, David Meltzer, the CEO of Sports One Marketing, and my boss. And I think you'll kind of see how that that kind of foreshadows, if you will, how I came to be where I was, and really, most importantly, just how I was able to kind of get my name out there and utilize the sports business network to build its kind of name, if you will. So one of the main things that I really wanted to focus on with this sports business network, initially one of the first things we did was we changed the name from club to network. Now, it's not a huge change, but ultimately it signifies a huge difference in terms of our presentation to the alumni. If you come in as a club, they think of it as something that's just on campus. It's not really something for alumni to participate in, but we wanted to develop a network where we were engaging our alumni and putting ourselves in positions to where we could meet them, learn from them, and then ultimately at some point once we graduated, either pursue internships and or job opportunities. So one of the first things also that we did was we focused on building the website. A lot of tireless work went into this website, but it was extremely important in terms of our presentation as a professional network, I think it did wonders, not only for myself, but really for various members and alumni. As you can see in the top right, we've listed all the alumni in the sports industry at Occidental College. There's probably not every single one of them that's in there, but every member that's a part of our network that we're aware of, and each alumni also has a bio. As you can see in the bottom right-hand corner there, Jim Moore Sr. is an alumni of Occidental, formerly the coach of the Indianapolis Colts and New Orleans Saints, and we basically built this bio for each member and alumni, and it kind of worked twofold. On one hand, with the members who are basically the undergraduates at Occidental, it allowed them to develop a kind of a professional resume, if you will, and enabled them to kind of build credibility when there was not much to start with. Like I said, as a college student, you haven't had much experience at all in the job market, and we really wanted to highlight the things that we could, with regards to what they had previously done, whether it was participation in sports at the college, their involvement in the sports business network, different clubs or organizations that they were involved in, and so on, and really presented in, like I said, a very professional way. And then on the other hand, we also developed the bios for the alumni in addition, and that was extremely helpful because it was, doing so was almost like the alumni were coming to me and thanking me for kind of getting them some further exposure and really involving them in the network. And when you do that, when you start a relationship by basically, in theory, doing a favor for somebody or doing something to reach out and help them, they're so much more inclined to want to come to you and offer their assistance in any way they can. In a sense, almost like a debt that they feel that they they should repay. In addition to the bios, we also developed a few other things. We did the message board on the which is a special login for anybody that's a member of the network. That helps keep the alumni and students engaged. We also developed, which I think is perhaps the best thing that I've brought to the Sports Business Network, was the alumni directory, which is basically, it highlights all the Oxy alumni that are currently working in the sports industry in every type of field you can imagine, and it provides all their contact information, email address, phone number, city, job title, company, and so on, and it's a very accessible way for our members to access them. So one of the things I'm most proud of in terms of giving back to Occidental was the development of the Occidental NFL alumni event. So this took place in 2011. This is actually how Chris Lambert and I connected. But I wanted to bring in some of our kind of biggest experts, if you will, in the NFL that had graduated from Occidental. Everybody that's up there on the top left, all the panelists there are graduates of Oxy. You have Trevor Moat on the left, who is the head trainer at the IMG Performance Institute. Mike Livy to his right, who's a contract research analyst with the San Francisco 49ers. You have Vance Mueller, who's a running back for the Raiders, and Sam Farmer, who's a NFL columnist for the LA Times. And I moderated the event, which was just for me a big part of cementing my reputation, if you will, and really kind of getting my name out there and my face out there as someone who's really looking to get into the industry. It was an extremely successful event. We were able to not only engage a lot of Oxy students and alumni and so on, but we wound up getting a lot of attention from other sources as well. People who didn't attend Oxy that came to the event were impressed by it, and it was a big step for the organization and quite frankly for myself as well. You see Jim Morris Sr. there on the bottom left, great guy, and so on. So I tried to get as much exposure for the brand for the Sports Business Network as I possibly could, and doing so was not just doing so for the organization. It was also getting my name out there as well. And what I wanted to do was try and create as much buzz around the organization as possible, whether that was getting in the school newspaper or as you see there, being posted on the Sports Agent blog. Anything I could do to get further awareness for the group was ultimately going to be beneficial not only for the group but also for myself, because they look at an organization like this and they say, wow, this is a very well-run professional group. Whoever happens to be running this thing must have their act together, and that's kind of what I wanted to really portray by doing so. So towards the end of my career at Oxy, I really wanted to, as I mentioned, get my name out there as much as possible. My main focus was really to create opportunities around myself to where I wouldn't have to look for a job, but rather I would be offered jobs. And I was very, very fortunate that was the case. And at the end of my time at Oxy, I didn't have to look for a job. I was very fortunate to have one in place. I had a few different opportunities, and for me, that opportunity was working here at Sports One Marketing. I was able to work an incredible CEO who also happens to be a graduate of Oxy, as I had mentioned, just a wonderful organization with Warren Moon as the president and founder, who's just really a symbol of overcoming extreme adversity and just achieved such great success it was really the right situation for me coming to work at Sports One, because it was a local company here in Orange County. I grew up in Orange County, so it was close by for me. In addition, it's being a part of a small company that's growing pretty rapidly. We have approximately 25 to 30 employees right now, but it is growing pretty quickly, and we're headed in a great direction right now, wouldn't trade it for anything. I started initially as an account executive and put in a lot of time trying to show that I took myself seriously, that I was committed to being successful in the sports industry. It was my opportunity, and I took I made the most of it. And fortunately, a few months later, I was promoted to my current position, and haven't looked back. So in terms of closing thoughts, there are a couple things that I would really suggest that you guys really look at. Number one is it's never too early to start and to position yourself for various opportunities that may come up. One of the most important things I would suggest is get your resume in order. You would not believe how many times I'm contacted, or our company's contacted just in a period of a week by people looking for internships or jobs, because it's an extremely competitive industry. And they come and reach out to me and they say, listen, Travis, I'd really love an opportunity to work for you. Is there any way we could talk or anything? I said, sure. Why don't you send me over your resume, beforehand, so I have an opportunity to take a look at it. And not kidding you, 90% of the time, they don't even send in their resume. Important step in terms of getting a job anywhere. And it's important to have that in order. Get your resume completed. Make sure you have a lot of people really take a look at it. And then try and, in addition to your resume, really get your name out there as much as possible. Have people make introductions for you. Do some research on LinkedIn, research on the web, whatever it may be, and try and, create some opportunities for yourself. There's a variety and multitude of different ways that you can do so. In addition, I suggest that you look to identify your resources and strengths and utilize them. For me, my resource was the access to the alumni. The Sports Business Network became my resource. It was a venue from which I could ultimately offer something to alumni and bridge a relationship, kind of start a relationship with a lot of these alumni who ultimately would be able to offer me a position of employment. So really take a look at the resources that you have, the strengths that you have as an individual, and try to utilize them as much as you can. Third, you really want to be flexible. I mean, the sports industry is extremely, as I'd mentioned, competitive. It is very difficult to get into. Not impossible by any means, but the important thing is to have a goal, but be flexible on the outcome in terms of, let's say you want to work as, working for a team, or as an agent or something along those lines. Well, if that doesn't work out, you may be interested in working in marketing or PR or sales or something along those lines. So, that's it's important to be flexible, and by doing so, it's going to, just create and open up new opportunities that you couldn't even imagine. And then lastly, take advantage of your time to shine. The fact is that nothing replaces hard work. Absolutely nothing. And if you are given just a slight opportunity to prove yourself in any situation that you're in, you want to make the most of it. And, hard work does not go unnoticed by anybody. If you're working hard, you're putting in the effort, it shows. And I think, that those are the four pieces of, advice I'd give to you guys. So in closing, I appreciate you guys, listening in. I hope, my experience, through playing, working with Sports Business Network, and so on, has given you guys a little bit further perspective on, on what you want to do, on what you want to achieve, and, would definitely love to keep in touch with you guys. You can check us out on the web at sports1marketing.com. And you're welcome to follow me on Twitter, as you can see my handle there. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and give it back to Chris if he's there right now.
Yeah, I'm here. I just want to add, I'm sorry I had my technical difficulty at the beginning, but I work for an international sports architecture firm, and I'm based on the West Coast, and I needed to find someone that was smart, motivated, driven, could take direction well, and I stumbled upon Travis's organization, and he talked about how he put on an event with Jim Morris Sr. and all these other alum. It was fantastic. You nailed it, and from then I offered him actually an internship to help me out with some of my marketing events one of which is interfacing with professional baseball. And we got all the way down to the week before, and Travis was going to join me, and he got this offer from Sports One Marketing. So he got a full-time paying gig right out from underneath me. So I lost him, but I know that he was sharp, and he impressed me because he did have his act together, had his resume at the ready. And, you know, I would also emphasize that with the age of social media, more and more potential employers are looking at that and looking at your brand and your identity. So be careful about what you put out there, but make sure what you do have out there is impactful. You can also use it as a good listening tool to kind of find out who other potential employers are and leaders are in the industry that you want to go towards. So thanks again, Travis, and I'll pass it over to Eric, and I know that Travis, you'll be ready for some Q&A at the end.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. Great presentation. Thank you very much. A couple of things I want to maybe add to what Travis had to say is, speaking from personal experience, for those that are looking to really break into the venue side of things, take advantage of the time that you're in school. There are certain things like student government, campus activity board, different events that you can do within your school that hiring managers are going to look when looking to get the internship. If you can parlay that with some experience in guest services, with with any of these yellow shirts or the folks that you see taking tickets at different venues, your local venues, certainly try to get into there. Hiring managers that are hiring for internships, they're looking for any kind of industry experience that's going to set you apart from the other people that are coming out of your program. So I would do that. Transitioning now to the second part of our presentation, I've secured an internship. What's expected of me? I'm going to send it over to Mr. Paul Fresher.
Thanks a lot, Eric. Basically, I'm going to be going off of what Travis was presenting. You got yourself out there, you got yourself your internship. Now I'm going to go over a little bit of what your employer is looking for and what you can do to maximize your time that you're with your internship. This is me. I'm Paul Freshour. I've been at Southern Methodist University for 4 years now. I was at the University of North Dakota prior to this, where I did my graduate assistant work and my undergraduate internship work. Overall, with the North Dakota experience, I've been in the industry for 7 years, and this is the stuff I'm presenting with today is basically my approach on how I've taken things, and I'm seeing everything pan out in front of me, so I like to think that it works very well. Let's get this going a little bit. Daily approach, way to approach things as you show up to your internship. Be a sponge. You're there to learn. You're working with industry professionals every day with this internship. It's something you need to take advantage of. It's a great opportunity for you to learn. The professionals you're working with, they got there for a reason. You can learn a great deal from them. One big thing as you're going through your internship is to listen. Whether you're just chatting with your supervisor, your coworkers, they're telling you how to do something, or you're just going over details on things. Listen to what they had to say and be attentive. Pay attention to what they're saying. They're saying it for a reason. Always make sure you comprehend what they're talking about. And even if that means you need to put your cell phone away for a while, unless there's something that is dealing directly with your cell phone, whether they're showing you an app that they use on their iPhone or iPad, don't be texting, sending emails to your friends while they're talking to you. You want your full attention going toward them. Another one, don't be afraid to ask questions. That's a big thing on my end. If I don't know an answer, I'm going to ask. Never assume. As soon as you assume, that's when you start muddying the water up a little bit. It's always easier and faster to ask a question. You're there to learn, so don't be afraid to ask your questions. Some expectations coming from the employer side. I work with interns on a daily basis, so these are some of the expectations that I have of my interns, and also what I felt was expected of me when I was an intern. You're there to perform duties that you were hired for, so become a master of those duties. this is your opportunity to kind of take the bull by the horn. They gave you this for a reason. Run with it. Make it the best that you can. If you see an area for an opportunity within this, talk to your supervisor about it, but become the master of what they gave you. Work to become independent. This is going to help tie into when you have your first real job. You don't want to be dependent on your supervisor or who are your reporting structure in order to accomplish your day-to-day tasks. See where your job is, see what you can do, and make sure you can do it by yourself or with the crew that you're with. With that, also become thorough on your tasks and dependable. What you do is seen. It's not overlooked by any means. All the details matter. I'll talk about that here in just a bit, but even if it's a minute thing, it's still going to matter in the overall scope of what the organization's looking to accomplish, whether it's for an event or bigger picture. All the details matter. You need to be professional, good representative of the organization. You never know who you're going to be talking to at any time. You always want to make sure you put your best foot forward. You could be talking to somebody who's going to offer you a job in 5 months. If you connect with them, you come off professional. You're together. You look like you know what you're doing. The work that you did to get your internship, just make sure you have an extension of that. And as I just said, all the details matter. Pay attention. Don't overlook anything because you think it doesn't matter. It was put in front of you for a reason. Make sure you run with that. All right. Look for opportunities. Big one in college athletics is there are a lot of departments within the athletic department. Once you've mastered your duties and you feel you can take on a little bit more, talk to people. See if there's something more you can do. Go above and beyond a little bit. One way you can actually look to do this is at the beginning of your internship. Sit down with your supervisor, go over things, see what his or her expectations of you are, set goals, and list out objectives for those goals and how you want to achieve them. Don't let anything that you're looking to expand to affect what you're currently doing, because that will negatively reflect on the way you look within the organization. So anything that you take on, make sure that you can handle everything accordingly. Along with setting these goals, work out a plan. If you have a 10-month internship, 12-month, 3-month, set out a map of what you're looking to accomplish within your time frame. A couple little key details as you are an intern. Know your role. Know your role within the organization. You are an intern. You are on the lower rung. Don't overstep what you're looking to do. You're there to help. You're there to work. Make sure you show up every day ready to go with that mindset. And along with that one, be willing to help. You could have everybody coming at you asking for help. Doesn't matter what it is. If it's something that you can handle, see what you can do to help out. All right, some ideas that I have on what you need to do to be successful in the internship. Every work environment is different. You need to adapt to the culture, the way they do business, whether they're more relaxed or they're more professional. Just kind of gauge how things are going, whether you need to talk to your supervisor, ask them questions on dress code, communication throughout the organization, kind of adapt the way you are to that organization. That's going to greatly help you be successful. One thing that you can't ever stress enough, communicate. Whether it's over-communicate via text message, email, telephone, social media, always make sure you communicate what you're doing, what needs to be done, and any issues that you have. Don't keep things inside. If you're having a problem with something, talk to somebody. Try to get the problem resolved. Be proactive. Don't let things come to you. Always be looking forward to see what can be done better. That's just for the sports world in general. You always need to be looking forward, otherwise you're going to get run over. Last one for some of the keys to be successful in your internship: don't rush progress. Book that came recommended to me by my boss, Slide Edge, written by Jeff Olson. The big key in this book is take every step at a time. Don't skip steps. Everything builds to the big picture. This is, if you overlook something and you just keep moving forward, you're going to get to the end and you're going to wonder where that little gap was. So don't skip anything. Just take your time. Don't rush. You will get to where, if you do everything right the way you feel you need to be doing them, you will reach your end goal. All right, this is kind of going into what you can do to make your internship successful. This is kind of off of what your employer is expecting of you. This is kind of what you do off to the side to make yourself successful. Essentially, your internship is the start of your professional career. There are a lot of things you can establish within your internship to continue to move forward, whether it's with that same organization or it's with a different organization post-internship. One big thing is to be dependable. You don't want your employer having to check up on you all the time. Establish a good work ethic, be dependable. The big thing that I have with some of the interns I work with is I'll go through my checklist as we're getting ready for an event, and I'll look at something and it's already done. I didn't expect it. It makes me feel good that they're taking the initiative to look forward and get things done ahead of schedule. So that's always something that's looked upon in a positive manner from the employer side. Learn good habits. This is where you can start to establish your style on your organization, communication, execution. Everybody has their own style and how they do things. My personal style for organization is organized chaos. Everything goes off in a sequential order, and everything is listed out, but my office wouldn't show that. So everybody has their own style. You can start to develop your own within your internship. You also get to learn people skills, how you can interact with other people throughout the industry, whether it's your own coworkers or other people that you work with. All right, keep going on this one a little bit. Don't forget what you learned in school. Those books were written for a reason. You can, not necessarily everything that you're going to be doing in your internship or your job is going to be to the T on what you learned in school, but take what you learned in school and apply it. You'll probably have to make some tweaks here and there, but you were taught that for a good reason, and your instructors, for the most part, they know what they're talking about on the majority of the stuff, so keep all the lessons that you learned in school in mind. Get to know your supervisor and coworkers. They're in the industry. They know, they have stories. They've been there, done that. Get to know them, learn their story, see how they got to where they're at, see what kind of lessons they learned, any road bumps they went over on their way. Take that in, digest it a little bit. You could potentially learn something that could help progress your career as you move forward. While you're doing all this, you can begin to build your personal philosophy. I started building mine back in my last year as a graduate assistant at the University of North Dakota. It's essentially why you're here, why you're doing what you're doing, and where you want to be. Kind of creates, look at what you're looking to accomplish, where your objectives are. This is something you can work on with your supervisor also, but it's more of, this is your approach to your professional career and how your personal life will build into your professional career. One big thing that you can take advantage of as an intern is to network. Myself as one who hires interns, my goal is to get my interns a job SMU, another school in the area, or the industry in general. I want to get them a job. So I'm looking to get them to meet as many people as possible throughout their tenure when they're working under me. So when you have your internship, take advantage of every situation you have. When you're meeting people, whether it's an event, day to day, always be ready to meet somebody, make that connection, whether it's getting their business card, linking up with them on LinkedIn, get to know them a little bit. Relationships are key in this industry. One great thing about working in sports or facility is you get an opportunity to meet people of all areas within the industry, whether it's security, marketing, production, facilities, event management. There are numerous areas that you're able to meet people, and you'll be able to find your niche that you want to work in, but always take the opportunity to meet the people and make the connection, improve your people skills. That it'll pay off greatly in the end. One big thing that I've actually worked with my interns over the last year and a half, and I've done myself, is make use of your technology, the LinkedIns, the Twitters, the Facebooks. Those are great tools to build your professional network. Alone in the last year, my Twitter has expanded greatly, and I've made great connections on Twitter. Just posting pictures of the renovation project that I have going on. There are a lot of people who see that and they're interested and they want to know more, and it's that opportunity to make a connection that could pay off further down the road. All right, I'll get into college athletics a little bit more specifically here. For those of you that want to become an athletic director, the key to this is experience. This is the road that I'm on right now. I'd like to be an athletic director someday. The big thing is you need to see everything big picture. Here I have listed out just touching on some of the areas that we have in college athletics where you're able to work. The athletic director, when they make decisions, they affect at least all of these areas that I have listed out. So experience, whether it's student internships while you're still in school, post-grad, wherever you can get experience in all of these areas, that's only going to benefit you more as you move forward down your career. All right, I've got just a couple final thoughts here. As you're going through your internship, make sure you show them they did make the right hire for the intern. You were hired for a reason. Don't be cocky about it, but be confident in the decisions that you make and how you approach your job. Show up every day, work hard. You get out of your internship what you put into it. So just make sure you're trying to maximize your time with that opportunity. And lastly, you are working in sports, multi-purpose facilities, and events. Have fun with it. There's a reason we put in the hours that we do. Going through everything that we possibly do, all the physical labor, the long hours during the seasons, weekends, nights, holidays, taking time away from our families. It's because you do have fun with what you do. So that's the big key. Make sure you remember why you're doing what you do and have fun with everything that you're doing. With this, I will hand things back off to Eric. Give me just a second, please.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. We got some pictures in, which unfortunately I can't post at the moment, but from the University of Minnesota. So if we can get that Twitter hashtag, we'll certainly make sure to send that out. Our next presentation is going to be what to do once you've earned your first full-time position, from Michael Zanka out at the up in New York. Mike, take it away.
Well, thanks for the introduction, Eric. And thank you for having me, everyone. I first want to start with a little bit of background, kind of on myself, as you can see. I work in the U.S. Open tennis tournament up in New York, and to echo what Travis and Paul had stated earlier in trying to find the internship, and then, assuming the internship. I myself, in this sports business, had 8 internships in through college and right after college to understand this business, kind of what's going on. Growing up, in San Diego, California, I didn't have parents who were in this business at all, so I had to kind of, discover kind of what this business was all about. So along the way, my background, undergrad, UCLA, master's program, at NYU in sports and business, and really got a good grasp as to, what was going on with everything and all of that stuff. And, ultimately, it led to where I am right now at the U.S. Open. I've been here close to 9 years, actually got the job while I was in grad school, and have cultivated a career on the basis of, hard work, networking, coming in early, staying late. So I can tell you that working in sports is attainable. Can be challenging at times, depending upon what you're doing and where you're going, but it's well worth it in the end. So with that being stated, I wanted to kind of take everyone into kind of my advice, what I think, you ought to do, once you have gotten, I guess, up to the mountaintop, and got your first full-time job. Clearly, congratulations. You have done a ton of work up to this point, whether it's, undergrad, graduate, in sports management, all of your internships, all of your volunteer opportunities, all the sacrifices in which you have made. Let's be honest, presently right now is a very tough job market. Economy's not great. I can tell you, we hire here at the Open, varying positions, and we have hundreds of applicants. So it's, very challenging, but whatever language, it's because, you've worked hard, and this is the, the next step of your career and how it actually will get started. So I would be remiss without stating what's on my next PowerPoint slide. Appreciating all those people and, acknowledging all of the groups of people who got you where you are. Obviously, getting a job in general is difficult. It's especially hard in sports. I have no doubt that, depending upon where you go and what you do, your parents, have supported you. I can tell you, my own story that my parents still have no idea what the sports business is all about. They, enjoy coming out to the Open every year, but they've always been, behind me and, supportive. And that's what you need is a support system, whether it's, at the internship level, or, once you've gotten, your full-time job, and your first one, because, it can be anywhere. Your family, thank your professors. I have no doubt in, your undergrad programs as well as your grad programs. Your professors will play a key role in guiding this first job, in guiding where you go. I can tell you my side job is as an adjunct professor. So on top of being in the business myself, I'm also guiding those who, are, trying to get the first full-time job, et cetera. So I know how important of a role I can be as a part of this process. Obviously, your friends, play a key role as well. And ultimately, yourself, all the hard work in which you have done, up to this point in order to get that, first full-time job is very key on every level. And then at the bottom of the page, now, is when the real work actually starts. So with that, I bring you up to my next point, which is a quote from the great one, as many have called him, Wayne Gretzky, who used to play for the Los Angeles Kings, Edmonton Oilers, etc. And, he clearly stated that you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And that goes as well as in life, but in sports and what you would like, to do. Obviously, you're getting into a profession that, you're passionate about and that, is important to you. And, attaining that first job is like, a great experience. And, just understanding where you have come and where you're going is key on every level, all depending upon where you go. So, transitioning into like an athlete who has to perform on the court or the field, working in sports takes practice, to perform like a pro. Obviously, I've laid out here a couple of keys to performing like a pro, in which I think are key, once you get, your first full-time job. Obviously, whether it's, in ticket sales, sponsorship, marketing, or facility management, just kind of understanding what are the ins and outs, what's the terminology, who the leadership positions are, who are the icons of industry. And, it's key in, understanding that, because you're going to be put in, in situations that might be a bit challenging, and, understanding what that stuff is key. Number two, get comfortable with the work environment. Obviously, a lot of you who are just getting, your first full-time job, either you've come straight out of an internship or, you've come straight out of, a classroom environment. The work environment is completely different, all depending upon what organization you're in, etc. So, just understanding, the work environment is key. Aligned with that is understanding, workplace policies and hierarchy structures. All right, what you can do, what you can't do, where you can go, where you can't. Try not to overstep what your boundaries are. Just understanding, who is key within your organization, etc. Next would be, complying with company policies and procedures. So, depending upon where you are and what you're doing, some companies operate differently if you're an intern as opposed to, a full-time staff member. So just understanding those procedures is also crucial. This is a big one, realizing the difference between being a fan and someone who now works in sports. I can tell you, your life will change once you jump over that, line. You can go from attending, sporting events, and looking at, on the field and what's going on, to waiting in line at a concession stand and timing how long you waited, what the portion size was of the pizza, and how much it is, on the price point chart. So, just understanding that as well is key. And lastly, trade magazines, and publications, Facility Manager Magazine, etc., are great tools to understand what your industry is and where you can possibly, go as a result of, of your first full-time job. Obviously, there are a lot of keys to success once you, have earned your first full-time job. I've got, a couple of them I just wanted to lay out. Obviously, first key would be networking. Whether it's with other industry professionals, college, grad school classmates, alumni, it's absolutely imperative, and I cannot stress this enough, that once you have your first full-time job, to establish a network, a Rolodex, as you could say, and understand how important it really is. I don't want to say that it's necessarily what you know in this business. A lot of it, is who you know, and learning skills of how to network. A great example, is joining a association. Okay, a IAVM, where whether as a student member or a professional member, I'm always amazed that I get as a member a booklet every year of all the members, all their addresses, all the emails, all their contact information, so that I'm able to reach out, I'm able to contact people, which is awesome. Just having access to people and networking is a key to success. My next one would be understanding misconceptions, especially as it relates to sports. Listen, sports are very glamorous. Working in sports is glamorous. All right, it's a good time. It's fun. But and along with that comes, if you're in, a good position, access over the tickets, access to, other stuff out there, which, being in the biz, affords you. But, once you have, that first job, it's all about hard work. And, it's all about the hours, of dedication, persistence. I can tell you, working at the Open, the last time I had off over, Labor Day was 10 years ago. I haven't had one off ever since. Your weekends, your holidays, your vacations, enjoy them while you can, because a lot of this business is, burning the midnight oil and just understanding what that's all about. We don't have normal jobs in sports. They're exciting and fun, etc. And just understanding what that is will greatly benefit you, as you move up and down the ladder. My next key would be the best at what you do. I know that's, hard to say right off the bat, it's your first full-time job, but, if you sell sponsorship, all right, be the best at that, okay? If you run, a facility, all right, do that to the best of your ability. If, you design interiors, or buildings, be the best you can be at that as well. It will show, and people will notice that, and, you'll be successful as a result of that. Obviously at the bottom, of the page, I note to, know your limits, which Paul had touched on as well, and just, always be learning. I can tell you, I'm 10 years in this business, and I'm still learning as to what's going on, how things operate, etc. This one is kind of interesting. One of the keys that I feel is important, is building a wardrobe. Obviously, we are working in sports, you're in the limelight, all right, a lot, especially if you work with, a team, if you're, on the field, on court, you're meeting people, you're, at conferences, all depending upon what you are, building a wardrobe over your, your career, is important. It makes, a difference with, it shows that, hey, you know what, I mean business, okay? It means, I want to grow, develop myself, and this is one of the areas that, I'd like to do it, dress for success, key, and vital. My next key is knowing your path. So, as an example, if you want to be a general manager, okay, so, but you don't know how to get there, do some research, understand, okay, I'm working as a job right now, all right, in ticket sales, but ultimately, the GM role is where, I want to get to, seek advice. If you can get, an informational interview, a Q&A with, a GM, an AGM or something, not so much to ask for a job, but to understand, hey, how did you get to where you are? What were the steps in which, you took? Because that's, important. Going back to my whole, whole concept of, of networking, understanding that, in this business, you're going to need help wherever you go, what you do, and, understanding where you want to go and how people, are able to help you is key, and, understanding that. Clearly, once you have, your first full-time job and you get comfortable, understanding the whole concept of big fish in a little pond, or little fish in a big pond. And what I mean by that is that, you've got your big markets, in sports, New York, LA, Chicago, Boston, and working there is, is the little fish in, the big pond where you have all the teams, all the leagues, all the agencies. If you go to like, like San Diego, okay, a Tampa, okay, you're going to be the big fish, in the little pond, and just, starting to understand, what options are out there, where you can go and work, and, ultimately, your first job, sets the tone for that, and kind of where you are, and, understanding what it is, that you want, which is, important on every level. My last key to success is to always be one step ahead and prepared. Obviously, I picked out a quote here, off Michael Jordan. I've always believed that if you put in the work, the results will come. And that's consistently true whether, you're looking for an internship, whether you have your internship, or, especially, what to do once you've earned, your first full-time job. You prepare yourself, for other opportunities. You're growing, you're understanding what the business is and how to succeed. You take advantage of when that time comes, because it will come. You're working hard, you're putting in the time, and, obviously once you have your first full-time job, you want to grow, develop, and always be thinking one step ahead, because, you never know what can happen and where you can go. Lastly, a couple of tricks of the trade in which I have that have helped me along with my career. Number one, start to, establish your own board of directors, your personal board of directors, whether they are, are family members, all right, industry professionals. I can tell you with one example, Pat Williams of the Orlando Magic. I had interned there right after college, is on my board of directors. When, I need something, advice, whatever it is, I call Pat. He sets the tone, he's honest with me, he's upfront with me, he guides me. Having a couple of these types of people around you, extremely important, because they're, people who you can trust and guide. Secondly, in an age of, of technology, all right, email, all this other, stuff, it's, important to, send thank you notes, congratulatory notes, hi, how are you, emails, whatever, it is, it shows you care and, appreciation. It also keeps you on people's radar screens. Because once you get your first full-time job, all right, you're going to look to grow, develop, and others, all right, are able to help you. A little example, I have holiday cards every year, all right? I handwrite, all right, close to 200 of them, all right? I send them out all over the country, okay? And, I hear comments back like, you know what, I love the handwrittenness of that. It's different, makes you stand out. And lastly, obviously, you sharpen your skills, okay? You're always growing, all right, developing. You're trying to be different, unique, and what puts you there? Maybe, you struggle with, like public speaking or, or training, understanding, what your weaknesses are and, what you can help yourself with, and grow, and develop is crucial, especially, in this business and, with what's going on and, all other types of stuff. So, obviously in closing, I can tell all of you that I have been where you are. And, working in the sports industry is very attainable. It puts up roadblocks on purpose so that, people who want it bad enough, will tear those down and will get to ultimately where they want to get to. So with that being said, I will now turn it over to Eric again.
Great. Continue. Thank you very much, Michael. As I kind of mentioned before, tweet us your picture. Let us know where you are. Be curious to see you at IAVMWHQ. We'll go ahead and make sure that we share those pictures with everybody. Now I kind of want to take a minute to go through some of the items that are available to you. Starting out with IAVM's mission statement: to educate, advocate for, and inspire public assembly venues professionals worldwide. If you haven't been to IAVM's website before or been to any of the meetings, I would highly recommend that you do so. There's certainly a lot of assets available to you even at this stage in your career. We do have associate student memberships open to any individual who is enrolled at a university, college, or post-secondary technical school and is actively pursuing a degree in fields associated with or appropriate to public assembly venue management or operations. These memberships, you can actually go on the website, like I mentioned. For the associate student membership, it is only $75. Basically, what that will get you, you can attend all of the association meetings and conferences, serve on committees, international or regional. So if you happen to take the advice of Paul, decide to go through, Travis, and go to Europe and check things out, I would encourage you to check out the European version of IAVM. General participation in all IAVM activities, including 6 digital copies of the industry magazine Facility Manager. Associate academic membership, open to individuals who are employed as members of faculties of accredited post-secondary educational institutions, providing instruction and training in disciplines and or areas associated with public assembly venue industry. This is actually going for a cost of $125, and once again, you can go ahead and apply the same way by visiting iavm.org. Similar to the other, you may attend all association meetings and conferences, serve on committees, both international and or regional, and participate in all IAVM activities. And you also would receive a printed copy of the magazine of Facility Managers as well as a digital copy. IAVM also has a textbook, the second edition for the Public Assembly Facility Management Principles and Practices textbook. Great resource for venue management students. The textbook normally costs $85 for members. However, for the month of November, if you purchase a student membership, you'll receive both for $120, which would be a savings of about $40. Also, for the month of November, a complimentary instructor review copy of the textbook is available to qualified instructors. You can contact Greg Wolfe at greg.wolfe, and that's greg.wolfe at iavm.org, or give them a call, 972-538-1024, if you were interested. Scholarships. I know when I was in school, I applied for a lot of these scholarships. IVM offers scholarship opportunities for students attending Performing Arts Management Conference and for interns at Venue Connect, which is the national conference, and the Venue Management. Okay. PAMC scholarships. Application deadline is December 3rd, 2012. PAMC is from Saturday, February 9th to Tuesday, February the 12th. Award winners receive registration waiver and $750 travel stipend for airfare, hotel, and incidentals. And you can see the website there for the application. And I believe you can also get that application if you go through iavm.org. Travel costs to the location, which is in Wheeling, West Virginia, are the responsibility of the student. And PAMC actually stands for Performing Arts Managers Conference, for those of you who did not know. 2012 university website, Venue Management School Internships. Application deadline is March 31st, 2013. Internship is from Friday, May 31st to Friday, June 7th. Room and majority of meals provided by IAVM. Students have opportunities to audit some DMS courses, and once again, there is the application. Networking. The student member establish relationships with leaders in venue management by connecting to them face-to-face, conferences, or through VenueNet. VenueNet.iavm.org/home, the industry's only social media platform. And one of the things about this, you really see a lot of people going on there and posing questions, and it really sparks some great dialogue. I take a look at it every morning when I get to work. I get an email, and I get different things, people asking questions. And sometimes I can help, but sometimes I learn a few things. But as a student, being able to get on and seeing what some of these industry questions are, maybe give you a little bit of insight on what's going on with some of these venues. And then once again, contact Greg Wolfe. I gave you this information earlier, but there it is on the screen. If you have any questions, I know I kind of went through that pretty quick, but send him a note. He can send you any information that you need or get you in touch with any of the panelists that presented today if, in fact, you have any questions that you don't get answered right now. Now, on that note, I think we're going to go ahead and open it up for questions. Thank you all for your participation today, and let's start answering some of those questions, Greg.
Cool, thank you. Yes, we have one question from Courtney at Slippery Rock University. She writes, I'm a woman in the major, and I would love any advice for a young woman who wants to succeed in the industry, but also how to handle any criticism from male counterparts who don't think women have what it takes.
Okay.
Anyone on the panel could probably speak to that for young women trying to get in the industry, maybe?
Do we have any? I can start by taking that question. As far as the respect factor goes, we certainly have come a long way. Basically, what I would tell you is that we need to make sure that you take advantage of every opportunity that you give and own those opportunities. To be able to show that that you're capable, whether you be a man or a woman, make sure that you take those opportunities that you're given and do them 110%. Some of our interns here at the Georgia Dome, who are actually in with us right now, can tell you that whenever they are given an opportunity and they strive in that opportunity, they're giving other opportunities as well in order to strive. So it's a matter of taking the opportunity as it comes to you and making sure that you hit that one out of the ballpark and ask questions along the way in order to help you be successful. But don't be afraid to ask questions and seize the opportunity.
I'm happy to answer that one as well. This is Travis Brody. I look at it really as kind of a benefit for a woman to come in actually to the sports industry in an industry where it's pretty heavily male dominated, where a woman can come in and be more likely to stand out. And just in my experience, for example, at Sports One, I think some of our best interns have been women. They tend to be perhaps a little bit more accountable. They look at things with a little different perspective, and ultimately they really provide some added value in many respects, in comparison to their male counterparts. So, I look at it really as a positive thing, really, rather than anything that's necessarily going to hold you back.
All righty. Our next question comes from Peter. He's at George Mason University. He says, I'm a student athlete, and I'm looking to major in marketing or management. Do you suggest a particular minor that could help me get into the industry?
I'm going to think Travis might be a good one on that based on the student athlete.
Sure. I'd be happy to take that. So, I'll tell you firsthand that, first of all, I was a history major in college, and minored in Spanish. So, what you major in can be helpful, but it's not going to be necessarily anything that's going to hold you back, at least with regards to your undergraduate studies. When you get, on towards postgrad, that's a little different thing. That should be a little bit more specific, more geared to the industry that you're looking to go into. But, I think with any subject that you major in, I think, or minor in for that matter, you're getting, multifaceted look at everything. For example, for me, history was a multifaceted discipline. It didn't really, it added a lot of value that, in a school where, for example, we don't have a business program, we don't have a sports management program, anything along those lines. But, I think with regards to minoring, if you could do something, obviously, in the marketing realm, that's always good, but I don't think that anything you major in or minor in for that matter would preclude you or hold you back from really doing anything that you want to do.
Travis,
going off that a little bit too, the big thing in your off season, that's your opportunity to get involved. Get involved with your athletic department at your university. They're always willing to help out, take you in, get you some experience that you're looking for.
Alrighty. We have another question from Slippery Rock University. Adam's asking, is it better to have experience from a small organization on your resume or experience from a larger organization?
I think I can take that one if you want. This is Mike Sanka. At least what I feel is that any experience that you can get yourself is valuable. Whether it's an internship with an NBA team, or even volunteering at your local marathon race or something. Each experience that you have, you are going to learn valuable skills on whatever level it is that will ultimately help you. I can tell you my own, I hire, I take in, interns every year at the Open, and I get a lot of resumes. I get a lot of students who have a lot of the experience, at the big time places, and, I understand that. But it's, the ones who, might not have, had the big experience, and have the little experience, that are really, hungry, want it, and, ultimately, not all the time, but a majority of the time, make a better impression on me and, the work that I have to give to them. So I think whatever you can get yourself involved in is key.
All right, we have a question from Otterbein University from Zachary. He says, as a senior in college, having some great opportunities in the past and in the near future, how can I improve my resume that stands out more than others while pursuing a career in sports since it's such a competitive industry?
Hey, this is Eric over in Atlanta. I can tell you that getting involved with groups like Contemporary Services, CSC, or any of the ushers and security companies are really going to help you stand out. If you can go and work, say, as an operations crew person at one of the stadiums, arenas, your school's student union, your school's arena or football stadium, anything that you can do in order to get your foot in the industry is really going to set you in a different class than folks that are just graduating with their degrees and having no experience. That experience card, I know when I'm looking for interns or coordinators or managers, those are the things that I'm looking for. I'm really looking at the experience and how that is applicable to what it is that we do here at the Dome.
Actually, Zachary had a follow-up question. I think you might have already answered it, but he talks about the importance of who you know in the industry. Are there any particular organizations that you can network with people in the industry? I mean, of course, there's IAVM, but is there anyone else you might recommend too?
We talked a lot about on today's call about getting on LinkedIn, getting on Twitter, getting on Facebook, and really making some connections that way. When in fact you are at the meetings, or when you take advantage of some of the things with IAVM, make sure you're writing those thank you letters to those people that you meet, and you might get their business card, or you might have, even if it's just in passing that you meet somebody, that follow-up letter that Michael was talking about is one of the things that will truly help you stand out, and that person will remember you based on the letter that you sent them, just because there's not a whole lot of people that are writing letters these days. Emails are one thing. Emails are good. Emails are great. But when you give that written letter to somebody, it really shows that you've taken the time out of your day to let them know that you appreciate the time that you had to spend with them, even if it was only for a few minutes. And then that will help you build that relationship. And it's always good to, after you do that initial letter, it's okay to keep following up with those people every few months just to see how they're doing, to maybe let them know how you're doing and where you are in your career. I think that's really the way that you're going to make the network, at where you are now. Also, keeping up with your professors. Even when you guys graduate school, keep up with your professors. Now and again, guys like me or people in IAVM will send stuff, reach out to some of the universities with opportunities. Keep in touch with them, and I'm sure they'll send you those opportunities as they come across their desk.
Okay, we got a question from Minnesota State University from Ryan. He asks, when applying, what's your recommended limit on the number of pages in a resume?
If anybody else wants to take this, I can take it. Depending on what the level of job you're looking for, I would say 1. You guys do a lot of great things and a lot of great volunteer work, but I would save some stuff for the interview. When you are looking for interns, if the hiring manager is looking for interns, they could be looking through 200-plus resumes. And the thing that's going to have you stand out, I'll go back to it, the thing that's going to make you stand out over all those other folks is going to be, A, your degree, and B, your experience. If you've got those experiences that are applicable in the industry, you're going to get put to the top of that pile. And then once you go on that face-to-face, you have an opportunity to sit with that hiring manager, then you can start talking about some of those other, maybe volunteers that you've done, volunteer work that you've done, some of the awards you've received, things like that. But really it's important is that you show that experience that you have. If some of the volunteer work is your experience, make sure you put that on there and exactly what you did. If you're volunteering for a 5K, and you were involved with putting all the logistics of that event together, make sure you put a manager that you have some coordination experience and that it's applicable to what's being done at that particular venue.
All right, we have another question from Peter at George Mason. He says, what do you do if you were trying to get an internship, but you do not have an impressive work history?
Okay. You know, I would say keep applying for positions with what you've got, but, you know, alongside, keep getting those part-time positions within the industry. As I mentioned before, you know, people are always hiring for the yellow shirt, the major stadiums or major arenas, or even the small-time arenas and whatnot. Just try to get yourself, even if it's a base-level position, even if it's, you know, working in housekeeping, even if it's working, setting up, doing building setup, even if it's an apprenticeship with, say, like an engineering department or something like that within a venue. You know, those are the things that you need to do in order to really be seen. Even if it's a part-time job, that's okay. You know, these are all means to an end. So work your way up. I got my start in the industry driving a Zamboni for the Orlando Solar Bears, and that's how I got into the industry. It was down at the old Orlando Arena, and you know, from that point on, I knew that this is an industry that I wanted to be in. So granted, I was in school when I found that out, but even if I had been out of school at that time, if I was working that part-time job and making all the connections and, you know, meeting all the different people and expressing my interest to want to be in the industry, those are certain things that are gonna help you succeed.
Big key for that I'm seeing is also volunteer. With things being as competitive as they are, you're not always going to get paid when you're starting out, so don't be scared to volunteer. Taking that extra initiative as a volunteer, actually, it'll help you stick out.
We have a question again from Zach from Otterbein. He's wondering if you want to become an event manager, what are some of the skills you need to develop to become one, or event planner?
I'll go ahead and take this one. Big keys are organization. There are a lot of things you have to take in and be able to coordinate with an event. You have to be able to multitask with everything happening at the same time on a concurrent timeline. Multitasking is huge. You got to have good people skills with all those events going on for the large event. You need to be able to work with all the different groups during the event, and then just being level-headed and calm. If you start stressing out, freaking out, other people are going to follow suit, so you just need to be able to keep your calm, stay cool, trust people, do your job. Everything will fall into place as it should.
To add to that, this is Michael. You know, understanding, you know, the concept of responsibility, I think is very important. And my magic word that I have is change. You know, obviously here, you know, at the Open, you know, we put on, you know, the largest annually, you know, attended, you know, sporting event in the world, and it's 2 weeks out of the year. We plan, you know, for 11 months, and then inevitably everything will change. And just understanding that, you know, as you know, as you start your career, and especially in the world of, you know, events, is because everything changes, and you know, understanding that is also really key.
All right, let's see here. We have a question from Ty from the Florida International University. The question is, would you recommend beginning graduate school right after undergrad or go straight into a working field?
You know, it really is just preference. You know, like I keep saying, I'm a firm believer of, you know, doing things parallel to one another. So, I mean, if you decide that you want to go into your post-grad degree while you're doing an internship or while you have a part-time job somewhere, that's okay. I mean, I did it with my undergrad, and, you know, it was something that really helped me with my studies. You know, as I started learning more about the industries and more about, you know, certain things in my business classes, I was able to try to apply them to one another and really take things from school that I don't think I would have really been paying much attention to had I not been in the working field. Any other panelists have anything to add to that?
This is Michael again. I can tell you that I took a year off in between undergrad and grad school, and I can tell you that it was a refreshing realization that I wanted to go back to grad school and kind of understand, what sports was all about. So I think it's kind of, at least how I see it, it kind of depends as to what you want, what your situation is, and ultimately where you want to go.
This question's from Sam. He says, how will the role of social media change in your facilities, or how do you guys, in your respective buildings, utilize social media?
Travis, that's all you, man.
Sure, I'm happy to take that. It's just for us. We are involved with so many different events throughout the year, and it's just kind of an added benefit to be able to utilize a social media campaign with each event. It enables the sponsors to kind of reach further consumers. It allows the athletes and or celebrities that come to our events to reach out as well. We were able to tie in the charitable aspect to that in addition. In terms of the involvement, I mean, social media is so vitally important. In Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn even, just extremely important in getting your brand out there in a way, in a free way, and in a way that it can access millions of people instantaneously. And a lot of people are using social media as their #1 source of information, and it's important that you capitalize on that in every way you can.
We have a question from Ben in Ohio State, and he's asking, as someone interested in working in sports venues and event management internationally, I've found it difficult to find a distinct career path. What advice does the panel have in developing my career and resume while still an undergraduate so that I can impress firms that have international operations?
Travis, from your international experience, do you think you might be able to take that one?
Sure. Do you mind repeating the tail end of that question?
Yes. He's an undergraduate now, so how does he get the attention of firms or venues that have, right now as an undergrad, that have international operations?
Well, I mean, there's a number of different ways. I mean, in terms of building up your resume is the most important thing. Really just making sure that you're volunteering, as you guys had touched on before, making sure that you want to get in either with the athletic department or the stadium in any way you can. Volunteer your time. Get involved with something on campus and so on. And ultimately, I think a big one is reaching out to perhaps alumni within your within your school, people who have graduated from your university. Reach out to perhaps some people who have access and ties to those international organizations. There's a variety of ways you can do it. Through LinkedIn, you can contact your alumni association, career development center, whatever it may be, and you want to reach out to them and ask for an opportunity for an introduction, or perhaps they may be able, even be able to offer you something in that end.
All right. Another question coming in about grad school. Do you recommend, this is the whole panel, do you recommend majoring in hospitality or sports management?
Hey, this is Eric over at the Dome. I think it depends on what you want, what part of the business that you want to get into. From the venue side, you really could do either. I think the sports management classes might kind of focus more so on the team aspect of things, but needless to say, that's applicable in either of the sections of the industry. Hospitality, you can't go wrong. It'll really teach you about the finishing touches of guest services, as well as some of the venue aspects. So I don't think you can make a bad decision either way. I think you just really need to identify which part of the industry is more suited to you, and do some research based on the curriculum that university has to offer within that major.
Also, this is Michael. To echo what Eric had said, I mean, I did my undergrad in sociology. I didn't have those background courses in sports management, so as an undergrad. So for my grad program, that was the next logical step. Also understanding, because we're driven by by bottom lines in this business. Finance aspects of things, budgeting, key skills that you can learn, depending upon what program you enter, major, etc. And those types of things are always important too.
All right, let's see here. If another question coming in about if you're new to the sports entertainment industry, particularly sports, how do you recommend choosing which part of the stadium to try working in? But let's say you're unfamiliar with all the ins and outs of what happens at a stadium.
I'll go ahead and take this one. The best way is just to go work with everyone possible in that stadium, whether you're working in the maintenance or the event management, marketing, front office. Try and get in with everybody for at least a little bit of time to see how things operate and see which direction you want to go.
All righty. A question again from Ty from Florida International University. Do you have any particular recommendations for internships other than IAVM? Any listings that you found when you look for interns, for instance?
NCAA.org, they'll list internships. SEFMA, sister of the NACDA Association, they'll also list. And then the school websites.
Also, this is Michael again. There's a Teamwork Online has interesting internship opportunities, as well as like workinsports.com. It's just a matter of researching these and going from there.
I'll get a couple more questions. One from Adam from Slippery Rock University. He asks, what's the very first thing you look at on a resume?
I can take this one. The very first thing that I look at is, first of all, that you've completed your education, at least from an undergrad standpoint. I think the postgrad is gravy. But two is your experience. What you did during that time that you were, in school. Excuse me. What were some of the things you were able to do? Take advantage of some of the programs that the university had to offer. Those are big qualities.
Okay, and our last question is, this person's asking about internships how do you show that you're progressing in your internships with responsibility if they appear to have the same entry-level responsibilities? So let's say you've already done a couple internships, but each internship description always has pretty much the same thing.
Greg, say that one. Can you repeat that question?
Sure. Every time this person applies for an internship, the descriptions of internships appear to have similar duties. And how do you show that you're creating a resume that shows career progression if you've done several internships that have the similar descriptions of what your duties will be?
Even if the one thing about internships, and sometimes the way that they're worded from HR departments are very similar because they want all the interns to fall within the same realm of roles and responsibilities. If in fact it's an event services intern, I think you gear your resume towards event coordination, event management, guest services, things of that nature. If it's more of a building operations, I think you gear it towards setup of events, the ability to work with staging equipment, setting tables, setting chairs, working with certain computer programs like AutoCAD that you may have taken a course in the university to help with that. But it's figuring out what the department who is hiring for that particular internship and planning your resume or writing your resume accordingly. It's not unheard of to have 5 or 6 different versions of your resume geared towards different parts of the industry. I think you need that's going to help you stand out.
Okay, so last question. This is from Sam at the University of Minnesota. It says, I'm interested in jobs with new construction of athletic facilities, stadiums, and arenas. How do I go about getting experience to be considered for involvement in the process of new construction?
Chris Lambert is on the call. He'd be an excellent one to take that. I guess he must have hopped off.
Dropped off.
Definitely go to Google and Google the different sports architects company. I know 360 Architects is one that Chris is a member of. But also you can reach out to Greg Wolf, and he can certainly pass your information along to Chris. So you can kind of help get those questions answered from him. But definitely looking at the roles of architects.
Well, Eric, that's all the questions we have.
Well, great. Well, everybody, we appreciate you all tuning in and joining us for our first webinar for the website. Any questions that you all may have, certainly feel free to email them to Greg Wolf or give him a call, and he can certainly facilitate getting those information out to the panelists. Once again, I want to thank all of our panelists, and thank you all for joining, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks.